What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again. Ignore the teddies. I'm in Finley's room today. The missus has got a bad back. She's in the bedroom. I said I'd just use Finley's bedroom. We're back. The boys are back. The boys are back in town. Everyone's come back. Well, not everyone, but you know, a lot of some of the first team are back. And you saw some of the pictures today. James Rodriguez drove in, big smile on his face. No Alan, Decore and Richarlison. Obviously, there's people on international duty, and they've also been able to have a little bit of an extended break. Players like Richarlison, who's also going to be going to the Olympics, but we'll touch on that in a minute. You know, Calvert-Lewin's still with England. Luca Dean's been given extended leave as well. Seamus Coleman turned up today. There's a picture with Rafa Benitez and Gylfi Sigurdsson. Yeah, that's where the first team are. Jean-Philippe Gbamin was also training doing his medical today, because I'm guessing that's what today is all about. I'm guessing it's essentially just a fitness test. Go in, see where the players are, and get them prepared for next season. So pre-season starts now, and a lot of Everton fans aren't excited by this pre-season because of the manager, because of, you know, the potential departures, potential incomings now not being as sort of glorified as what maybe Carlo Ancelotti could attract. But you know, we've still been linked with some big players and some big money, and that's why I sort of made this title being sort of like big spenders, mega spenders, because you know, Everton, irrespective of who the manager is, irrespective of the team, they need to spend money. We need to spend money. We have to, because the squad isn't strong enough. You know, we're going into a season where Bernard and Iwobi are probably our only fully confirmed wingers. You know, you might want to say Nkunku can play on the left-hand side of midfield. You might want to say Richarlison can as well. You might want to say Bernard can play on the right as well. Maybe Seamus Coleman as well. There's options, but none of those options are consistently going to get you into the top six. And one of the things Moshiri said when Rafa was appointed and confirmed was that Everton are aiming still to be going towards the top of the league. He said he's fully committed to that, and I look at that Everton team at the minute, and this team is miles away from it. Anything in front of the back four and Pickford are miles away from the top six. And the reason why I give credit to the goalkeeper and the back four for not being miles away from the top six is because I think I think there's more onus on scoring goals now than there is defending. And I think a back four of Luca Dean, Yuri Mina, Ben Godfrey and a new right back, and we will mention a certain player in a minute, I think that's enough to be a top six side. And Jordan Pickford has been a completely different player since probably February onwards. You know, he got injured at a really rough time for Everton. Yes, Olsen did well, but Jordan Pickford's been absolutely fantastic for both Everton and England. And it's credit to him, because last December, I was sitting, not in this room, but sitting in that bedroom saying that I wanted him gone. You know, he could go to anyone. He could literally sign for anyone. I wouldn't be bothered. I'd drive him there. You know, the mistakes he made game after game after game. He did exactly the same at times last season. It was poor. I'd had enough. But actually, he seems to have matured. He seems to have calmed down. He seems to have found a voice and known how to use it at the right times. And Jordan Pickford, in my opinion, has been arguably England's best player. He's certainly in the top three. You know, he's been really, really impressive to me during this Euros, and it's credit to him. And that's why I put Pickford as a top six goalkeeper. No problem. Like, he goes straight in. Defensively, as I say, we're there roughly. We do need a right back, and that brings us on to some of the players we've been linked with. We have been linked with Denzel Dumfries for probably the best part of a month now. We wanted to get the deal done before the Euros, according to papers and other media sources, but apparently Inter Milan were then interested. Inter Milan apparently won't match what his home team essentially want. And I sort of get that. Everton wanted to pay £15 million for him before the Euros. The fee could now be around €25 million. Again, look, in the big scale of things, I think Dumfries is worth every single penny of that in footballing world. But there might be other options, there might be younger options, there might be, not younger options, sorry, there might be cheaper options where who are as good but not necessarily on the radar because they're not at the Euros. So I don't know, but for me, if Dumfries comes into Everton's defence, I'm really excited for what he can do down the right-hand side. You know, we've seen him score goals, we've seen him create, we've seen him miss a couple of sitters as well for Holland. You know, this is a guy who has got everything as a right back, and it reminds me very much of a Luca Dean. Can score goals, can get on the end of things, can deliver a ball, can beat a man. That's exactly what Luca Dean can do, and if you've got two of them, it sort of takes the onus off Everton's wingers' pressure to do that. Other players we've been linked with, Isco. Isco's been a player that we've been linked with today. I don't see that happening. I just don't. I don't see the point of Isco. We've got Gylfi Sigurdsson, who, in my mind, doesn't look like he's going anywhere. As much as I wouldn't stop him going anywhere. You know, by all things that are sort of mentioned, the board seem to like him, the managers seem to like him, the players seem to like him. You know, he seems to be a good pro in and around the dressing room. Look, I don't know that. I've never met Gylfi. Well, I have, but, you know, you get what I'm saying. I've never spoken to him. But he, as a player, he isn't good enough for the top six now. But having good pros around, does that validate it? I don't know. We were having this conversation with Eric Dyer for England, you know, a few months ago. I don't think it's enough to keep you in a side. And if somebody come in, if a bid was real, I'd happily get rid of Sigurdsson. And I'm not going to sit here and slag him off. I've done that before. I've slagged off players before. I'm going to take a different approach this season. I'm going to talk about pros and cons of people. And, you know, there is no doubt at times he has looked good this season. He's been instrumental. I think he scored 6 goals. I think he's got a few assists as well. He's been creative when he needs to be. He played pretty well with James Rodriguez at times because they clearly think on a similar level, although James is obviously the better player. He just has looked better, but it's still not good enough for where we want to get to. It's like Iwobi. You know, he comes on sort of probably October, November. He looks a different player. He looks a completely different player. I was calling Iwobinho on the watch-alongs. You know, I was really, really impressed with him. It lasted 6 games. It lasted 6 games. You know, give me 1 game in the Premier League and I'm sure I'll do something fantastic just once. Just once. 1 good pass or one good clearance. I'm sure any person who has any ability in football, I'm not saying fantastic ability, but I'm just saying inability would do just one thing in 38 games that makes someone go, yeah, he did well then. He did well. Could be anything. Could be a defensive header. Could be nothing. Could hit me on the back of the arse and go out for a corner. But I think anyone can do one thing and look good. And Iwobi just consistently beat people. He consistently beat people, but he can't cross. He can't shoot. He can't do anything. He reminds me so much of Balassi. You know, when people sit there and go, yeah, he had no end product. And Iwobi is exactly the same. He's got no end product. And again, if Everton want to be a top 6 side, it needs to be addressed. And again, Everton have been linked with players who have that aggression, who have that ability to beat people. You know, as I say, we have been linked with players like Isco. We've been linked again with Wilfried Zaha, again a player who can carry a ball. We've been linked with Ayoze Perez, again another player who can carry a ball. My preference wouldn't be Perez. I'd actually prefer Zaha over Perez. However, it's again another player who can carry a ball, who can beat a man. We've been linked with Mateus Nunes. It looks like the deal's died. But again, it's another player that can carry a ball. And I just think if we can do that across our midfield, rather than just relying on wingers, we're going to play a lot more like a bit more expansive than we are just being structured and everyone knowing what we do. Because that was another issue we had last season. The first 7 games last season, we were fantastic. We didn't lose, including the Carabao Cup games. We didn't lose. I think it might be the first 8, sorry. And the way we played was very simple. The ball would be in defence. It would be played quickly into James Rodriguez. James Rodriguez would look for the overlap of Luca Dean. Luca Dean would be on the left-hand side. He would ping the ball over to Luca Dean and Luca Dean would put it in the box. Calvert-Lewin would be at the front post. Richarlison would be at the back post or vice versa. And one of them would score. And we ripped teams apart doing that. But we did it so much everyone clicked. It was the same way, and in the end, we ended up having to revert to a defensive style of football because everyone knew how we was attacking. It was really shit and really poor of Carlo Ancelotti to not know his tactics. And as much as everyone praised him, or a lot of people praised Carlo Ancelotti, I sat on the fence for a long time with Carlo and never really give my true opinion. But if Carlo was any other manager, I think he'd have been under serious pressure, like serious pressure. You know, we've been linked with Everton as well. We've been linked with some seriously decent players, but again, I think it's just important that recruitment's right. Recruitment has to be right, because if it's not, it's just another year when we go backwards or we stay the same, and none of us want that. None of us want that. So I don't know. Everton have also been linked with, again, I apologise if I say this wrong, but Patrick Schnick. Oh, I can't say it. He scored 5 goals in the Euros. He's a good player. He knows where the net is. He can do a very good job up front. You know, he's a very good player. He could cost 40 million euros though. I think players like this all depends on who's going out, because I don't know whether you agree or not, but I think Everton have got serious issues with financial fair play. And I know a lot of people have said it's relaxed. Don't worry about it, Mike. But at some point, it's going to bite you on the arse. And it wouldn't surprise me if Everton are sort of gearing up to know about it. You know, I think the Esk on Twitter has sort of done some calculations and thinks we're going to be at about £170 million loss this year. That would be the biggest loss I've ever seen in Everton's history, obviously, I think. And certainly would be up there with the Premier League, if not the biggest loss in the Premier League. So it's concerning. So I don't know how much money we're just going to lash out on players. And that's another reason why I think Rafa Benitez is now the Everton manager. He's used to having to manage under constraints, certainly for the first season. I really don't think Everton are going to spend big this summer. And I think a lot of the money they spend will be self-generated. I really don't think it's going to be big. Another player we've been linked with, Ben White. This broke, 3-4 days ago now. £50 million for Ben White. I think it's paper talk. I think it's paper talk to try and get Arsenal to get their finger out of their backside and pay what they want. Apparently the discussion, or from what I read, the discussion and what was told, the discussion was Everton are prepared to pay something like 20 or 30 million up front, whereas Arsenal are only prepared to pay something like 15 or 25. You know, there's 5 million in it. And the rest would be on 4 years of instalments, which is pretty typical for football transfers. Look, I don't buy it. The only way Ben White comes to Everton Football Club is if we sell a player, i.e. a Mason Holgate or a Michael Keane or a Yuri Mina, and he comes in as a replacement. But even then, I don't think it'll be Ben White. I think Ben White is fantastic, and I think he could go to a Manchester City. He could go to one of the big 2 clubs in the league. You know, he could go to one of those, and I just don't think he's going to be in a rush to sign for Everton. And I'm not saying it because I don't want him to. I would really like Ben White. Right now, you know, you've got a Man United who are trying to sign Camavinga, have just signed Sancho. You'd probably go to them over Everton, wouldn't you? Everton have been snubbed by Philippe Coutinho. Again, I'm not surprised. And equally, I don't actually think I'm that bothered. I think Coutinho would really slow play down. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I think he's fantastic. I think he's a good player, but I don't see the point. I don't see the point signing players who, again, have been there and done it. Where's the hunger and the fight and the who wants to be someone? You know, Ben White fits better into that mould because he is young. He wants to consistently play for England, just like Ben Godfrey, really hungry and aggressive to get there. Philippe Coutinho doesn't need to do that coming to Everton Football Club. Do you get what I mean? It doesn't matter. So I question whether that's right. And of course, importantly, James Rodriguez is back. He is back. He was pictured today. He was smiling when he drove in. A lot of Everton fans have gone, "Oh, we can't be leaving. He's smiling." Look, I think we need to sugarcoat that. I think he would have had some talks today with Rafa. I think Rafa will explain what he wants to do, if he's happy with James or not, in terms of like the past. James will say exactly the same things to Rafa, whether he was happy, and we will just see. I don't think James Rodriguez will be an Everton player at the end of the summer. I think he'll go to someone like Milan, or it wouldn't surprise me if he went somewhere like Turkey. It wouldn't even surprise me if he went back to Spain. I just don't think he'll be an Everton player. He's got 1 year left on his deal. If Everton can cash in with a player that's not happy, kind of makes sense. Same as Gylfi Sigurdsson. So who knows? And then the other one, of course, Moise Kean. No pictures of him today coming back from, international duties or whatever he was doing. I think PSG are pulling Everton's pants down if this is a loan and he goes there on a loan again. I think it's an absolute joke. And as long as we're getting a decent loan fee, I'm actually not too fussed then. Give us £10 million now. Hopefully you give us £10 million last summer and give us 50 million at the end. If we make 70 million from a player we bought for 30, I'm cool with that. But I don't necessarily think that's the case, and that's what concerns me a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. In terms of other news, channel related, there will be more shows coming. This is it. This is game week. We've got some really exciting stuff coming up on the Blue Boys Network. We've got new badges, new logos. We're going to have some new merch. So get yourselves over to the website when it is launched in a few days' time. We've got some new hosts who are going to be doing shows for us. It's going to be busy. It's going to be really busy. So yeah, enjoy, guys. I'm leaving it there anyway. Have a fantastic Monday. I appreciate it's the start of the week, so it's never fantastic. England is smashing it. It's fucking coming home. It's coming home. It's absolutely coming home. It's fucking beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And yeah, it is what it is. Guys, I'll see you soon. It's coming home. Peace.